Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Our group will be discussing about the Baguio Water District. The flow of discussion will be as follows. First, we'll be discussing the company profile, the company's current situation, its strategic posture, its external and internal environments, and finally, its SWOT analysis. Let us now proceed to the discussion of the company's profile. Baguio Water District is a water service business. In April 14, 1975, the Baguio City Council passed Resolution 3775 creating the BOWADI. BOWADI started out as a cash-trapped water system. It only had 100,000 pesos as its starting operational expense, which was granted by the City Council. The corporate charter of BOWADI, as well as all of the water district for that matter, went through a final imprimatur from the Supreme Court in 1992. This means that from then on, they would now become government-owned and controlled corporation, subject to the regulations of the Commission on Audit, the Civil Service Commission, and the Department of Budget and Management.
We will be tackling Baguio Water District's 2020 corporate performance. To start off, I will be discussing BWD's liquidity ratios. BWD's working capital as of December 2020 is 194,609,064, having a current asset of 308,430,771 and current liabilities of 113,821,707. This gives us a good indication that PWD has a healthy financial capabilities and have enough money to cover its short-term obligations. Moving to PWD's current ratio, having 2.71 indicates that PWD is in a desirable situation since current ratio is a liquidity ratio that measures a company's ability to pay its short-term obligations or any obligations within a period of 1 year. With its existing current ratio, BWD can tell its investors and analysts on how to maximize the organization's current assets to satisfy its current debt and other payables. Next would be the quick ratio of BWD. To define quick ratio, it is a measure of a company's ability to pay off its short-term obligations using its most liquid assets like cash, cash equivalents, and quick assets. A normal liquid ratio is considered to be 1:1, but BWD's quick ratio is less than 1. That means it cannot currently fully pay back its current liabilities using cash and cash equivalents. This happens because quick ratio provides a more conservative assessment of the liquidity position of firms because it excludes inventory. Just like other liquidity ratios of BWD, its cash ratio also shows that it can cover it can cover some of its short-term obligations using cash and cash equivalents. Next, I will present the leverage ratios of BWD as of December 2020. BWD has a 0.18 debt ratio that indicates that BWD has more assets than debt. The debt-to-equity ratio shows a company's debt as a percentage of its shareholders' equity. Since BWD has debt-to-equity ratio of 22%, then BWD is generally less risky. BWD uses a lower amount of financing by debt via lenders than funding through equity via shareholders. BWD's growth rate drastically declined last year due to the pandemic. BWD experienced a negative growth rate of negative 45.58% in year 2020 compared to 2019. This describes that BWD's performance is experiencing a decline in sales and earnings. Next would be the CFROI of BWD. Cash flow return on investment is a valuation metric that looks at cash cash flow relative to a company's cost of capital. BWD has 6% CFROI that can give investors insight into how the company works internally, how the company creates cash, it finances its operations, and spends its money. Lastly, operating profit margin is a profitability or performance ratio that reflects the percentage of profit a company produces from its operations. BWD has 13.35% profit margin that can be considered good. These ratios helps BWD, its customers and investors to have a better knowledge considering the company's overall performance.
Okay, so now let's move on to the Baguio Water District strategic posture. So first will be the current mission and vision of Bawadi. So its vision is to be a model water agency, and its mission is to provide adequate and potable water at affordable rates to all customers. So as of now, Bawadi's rate is at 350 minimum for, so the 350 is 10 drums, then so it is 35 pesos per drum. Compared to other water delivery, since it is what we are using, so it is 240 pesos for 8 drums or 30 pesos per drum. So it is cheaper for 5 pesos. But still, for water deliveries, there are different rates. Some have lower rates compared to Bawadi, and others have higher rates than Bawadi. So that is the mission and vision of Bawadi. So let's now move on to the Bawadi's current objectives. So I will just read it. Ensure sustainable access to safe water for the remaining 25% of the city's population that do not have it. Next is to reduce non-revenue water from 38 to 45% to 20 to 30%. Increase forest cover in all watershed areas around Baguio City by at least 20%. Next is reduce waste in Balili River by 25% and reduce BOD levels by 15%. Optimize investments for the city's water treatment facility and expand coverage of connection to prevent pollution. Next is the mainstream gender issues and apply community-based approaches in water management. Lastly is to harmonize actions and work together towards water security. So that is all for the current objectives of Bawadi. So let's now move on to its current strategies. So under the strategic goals, adequate and potable water supply to all customers at affordable rates, so which is also Bawadi's mission. Next is financial viability with social responsibility, efficient and effective organization with empowered, committed, and trustworthy employees, complete customer satisfaction, watershed and environment leadership. So there. Let's now move on to the last part of the strategic posture, which is the current policies. So first is the no noon break policy. It is under section 8E of RA 9485 or the Anti-Red Tape Act. Since Bawad is also under the government, this policy also applies to them. Next policy is the privacy notice, so wherein it protects the privacy of the data subjects, including the employees, clients, service providers, and other stakeholders. So it is in accordance with RA 10173 or the Data Privacy Act. So in this privacy, it covers the collection of information, disclosure, security or personal information, retention and disposal, use of cookies, links to other websites, website analytics, privacy policy changes or updates, and disclaimer. Next policy is the granting water rights. So it is under Local Government Code 1991, or the LGU will have authority 17 to grant or not to grant permits for water sourcing projects. So the city government should be able to respond to water concerns and act appropriately in a timely manner before water resources are depleted. So that's all. The next is that water establishments, including Bawadi, will be required to produce an annual environmental monitoring report to complement provisions in DENR Administrative Order 9637. The memorandum the memorandum is important to bridge any gaps should the city not succeed in adopting water code within the target time frame. Sorry then. Next policy is the local environmental water usage fee will be imposed as a prerequisite on yearly payments of real property taxes and business permits for water extractors and waste dischargers. The fees can be used to fund local water projects. So lastly, for the current policies of Bawadi is the water access options will be diversified through the local business permit system, where connection to the water district is not feasible. So that is all for the strategic posture of Baguio Water District.
So for Baguio Water District's internal and external environment, we utilized their FS and IFAS matrix. So in here, we were able to identify the current standing of the company by interpreting the information that we've gathered from this analysis. So for Bawadi's external environment using the FS matrix, we were able to come up with a weighted score of 2.67, which comprised of the 1.58 subtotal for the opportunities and the 1.08 subtotal for the threats. And this value can now be interpreted as a good score since this reveals that the company is indeed excellently managing its opportunities despite the threats that they are considering, especially during this time of the pandemic. So from this, we can deduce that it is really important for them to evaluate these external factors since these are the primary drivers for their critical decision and strategic planning, which can help them improve their business performance. So on one hand, Bawadi's IFAS showed us a weighted score of 2.91, which means that the company is indeed strong at maximizing its strengths and overcoming its weaknesses. And since knowing the company's internal factor impact the success and approach of operation in the company, it is also essential for them to track these factors every now and then. Also, they can be controlled by the firm, thus they are considered to be the main drivers to a smooth and successful business performance. So, additional to the company's internal environment, we also found out that its corporate structure is functional as seen on their organizational chart, which composed of the board of directors, assistant general manager, administrative, finance, and the like, which under these are the different functions such as the accounting and customer care. So, as for Bawadi's culture, they are still more of a conventional one, but as observed, they somehow had a major shift in their operation, and this is because of the digital age, which was highlighted even more when the COVID-19 pandemic came in the picture. So this was evident by the digital payments and the QR codes they are currently implementing and using in their operation.
So as the result of the analysis, Baguio Water District's main strengths lie in the quality water distributions, skilled manpower, excellent work environment,
technology-based transactions, and customer-oriented. This allows it to offer excellent customer service to a relatively wide customer range. The company's weaknesses have something to do with the service it offers. Baguio Water Districts needs to invest in maintenance in order to avoid interruptive and unwanted pipe or water connection damage. The company should also need to handle its expensive new technology purchases in order to promote flawless water transactions in the community. Another thing is that the company should balance the water cost and expand its service and improve its standardized policies in its internal control, and it should not be manualized. Baguio Water District sees opportunities in partnering with the local government unit and for the implementation of additional projects in order to sustain operations and fortify the management and prevention of COVID-19 cases. The acquisition and installation of upgraded technology or facilities can also offer rapid response and good value services to the local businesses and to the community or the customers. The company can also offer or to expand its branch outside Baguio, just like in La Union or in any other neighboring community, because it offers quality service due to upgraded new technology and can likely market new products and services. As for the threats, this requires the consultancy to keep up to date with the changes in the environment, just like climate change, which causes water pollution, air pollution, and pollution around the Baguio Water District environment. It also needs to keep a close eye on its largest competitors, given its vulnerability to large-scale changes in its market. To counteract this, the business needs to focus in its marketing on selected industry websites to get the greatest possible market presence on small advertising budget. This has also something to do with the latest pandemic outbreak that results in increasing COVID-19 restrictions and blocks the opportunities of the Baguio Water District. And some other issues that constrains the company's success can also be political issues and conflicts. It can be either with the company as a whole or with the employees of the company.